This video is about Thor protects Asgard from frost giants, but Loki weaves a treacherous plot. If this myth excites you, please like the video, share it with friends, and write in the comments how it pulled you into the adventure. Part 1: The Frost of Betrayal. In the age when gods walked the earth, when the skies bled lightning and the mountains whispered the tales of ancient battles, the realm of Asgard glimmered like a beacon in the heavens. Gleaming towers of gold kissed the clouds, and the river of time, flowing past the roots of Yggdrasil, carries stories of valor, sacrifice, and treachery. It was a time when the line between honor and betrayal was as thin as the edge of a blade. Yet darkness stirred in the icy hearts of the frost giants. It was said that their realm, Jotunheim, was a cursed land. There, the winds howled tales of the ancient grudge against the Aesir. They longed for revenge, for the frost that had once fanned them had only fanned the flames of their hatred. The king, the monumental Loki, swore vengeance against the gods of Asgard for a time long past, when the heroic Thor had cast them out into the grasp of winter's embrace. As the sun set in hues of fiery gold, the great hall of Valhalla echoed with laughter and the cry of feasting. The warriors of Asgard celebrated a hard-fought battle, the hearts light, unaware of the brewing storm. Odin, All-Father, watched over them, his one eye reflecting the flickering flames. He sensed the unease in the air, a whisper of fate that danced like embers, foretelling doom. Amidst the revelry stood Thor, the god of thunder, his magnificent hammer and Mjolnir resting at his side. He was the embodiment of strength, valor, and honor. His golden hair flowed like sunlit wheat, and his laughter resonated like thunderclaps across the feasting hall. But as thunderclaps gathered outside the great walls of Asgard, so too did the shadows of treachery within. In a corner of the hall, Loki, god of mischief, brooded in silence. His raven black hair framed a visage twisted by envy and ambition. He watched Thor with a smirk that masked a heart of ice, plotting a scheme that could eclipse the very sun. For Loki had long desired to prove that he was more than a mere companion to the mighty Thor. He wanted to carve his own legacy, even if it meant plunging Asgard into chaos. The frost giants, led by the cunning and ruthless Loki, saw in Loki a tool of their vengeance. They approached him under the cover of darkness, their icy breath chilling the air as they offered him a sinister alliance. "Help us overthrow Thor, and you shall have power beyond your wildest dreams," they whispered, their voices like cracking ice. Loki, tempted by their promises, swallowed his misgivings. "Very well," he replied, his heart racing with the thrill of treachery. "But the price shall be steep. I seek power, and you shall deliver." The pact sealed, Loki donned his cloak of deceit, preparing to unleash a storm upon Asgard that would rival the fiercest tempest. In the thick of night, as the moon hung like a silver coin in the sky, Loki traversed the cold, treacherous paths of Jotunheim. There he met Loki in a cavernous hall made of pure ice, where echoes of pain and vengeance reverberated with each step. "The time has come," Loki proclaimed, his voice filled with a chilling promise. "You shall lure Thor into our trap, and he will perish beneath the weight of our fury." Loki, filled with a tumult of emotions, took a deep breath, contemplating the gravity of his choices. He had always walked the line between mischief and malevolence, but now he stood on the precipice of betrayal. "But leave it to me," he said with a smirk, as he departed the icy realm, unaware of the fate he was weaving for himself. Back in Asgard, Thor felt the winds shift, the atmosphere laden with a foreboding chill that seeped into his bones. He gathered his warriors, including the fierce and loyal Sif, her fiery spirit unmatched by any other. "Something stirs in Jotunheim," Thor said, his voice steady, yet laced with an undercurrent of worry. "We must remain vigilant." Sif crossed her arms, her eyes fierce with determination. "Then let us prepare for war, my lord. We shall not be caught unawares." The warriors of Asgard readied themselves, sharpening their blades, crafting armor, and fueling their resolve with tales of their ancestors. As they trained, the air crackled with energy, a storm was brewing, and the gods were ready to meet it head-on. But Loki, from the shadows, watched with a heart full of deceit. Under the guise of friendship, he approached Thor, feigning concern. "Brother, I have had visions of the frost giants. They plot against us," he warned, his voice laced with urgency. "We must strike first." Thor, ever trusting of his brother, nodded. "Then we shall gather our forces and march upon Jotunheim. I will not let them threaten Asgard." Loki's heart thudded with satisfaction, but a fleeting thought, a whisper of conscience, pricked at him. Would he betray his brother, his blood? The thought was suffocated by the allure of power. The dawn broke with the cries of battle horns, and Thor led his warriors across the Bifrost, the shimmering bridge that connected Asgard to the realms beyond. They marched as thunder incarnate, resolute and fierce. Each step echoed the promise of victory, and yet Loki felt a shiver of doubt creep into his heart. As they reached the icy gates of Jotunheim, the sky darkened, crackling with lightning as Thor raised Mjolnir high, channeling the storm within him. "Prepare yourselves, brothers, today we reclaim honor." With a mighty heave, he held Mjolnir towards the gates, shattering the ancient barriers that separated the realms. Chaos erupted as the frost giants surged forth, monstrous and towering like living mountains, their eyes glinting with malice. Thor roared, his voice like an avalanche, summoning the fury of thunder and lightning. For Asgard. The clash of steel rang out, a symphony of war as gods and giants collided, the ground trembling beneath their fury. Loki watched from a distance, his heart swelling with a tempest of emotions. He had sought glory and power, yet now, as blood spilled and cries echoed, he felt the weight of his choice. He knew that the outcome of this battle would forever alter the destinies of gods and giants alike. Amidst the chaos, Thor fought valiantly, carving through the ranks of the frost giants. Each swing of Mjolnir struck with the force of a tempest, his every move a dance of lethal grace. Yet in the shadows, Loki's treacherous thoughts festered. The giants needed but a spark to ignite their vengeance. Just as the tide of battle began to turn in favor of the Aesir, Loki felt the pull of his dark pact. Summoning his cunning, he slipped away from the fray, intent on igniting the chaos he had promised. In his heart, a war raged as he confronted the monstrous Loki, a fierce glint in his eyes. "Now is our moment," Loki hissed, battling the thrill of power as he unleashed a spell that coiled like a serpent. "Betray those who trust you, and the world shall tremble at your feet." Loki hesitated, realizing the true cost of his ambition. With a heavy heart, he stood at the crossroads of fate, contemplating the bond of blood and honor that had always tethered him to Thor. Taste of betrayal soured in his mouth as he envisioned the chaos of war spiraling out of control. Little did he know, the eye of Odin watched over them all, the threads of fate weaving tighter, binding destinies in ways they could not yet comprehend. As the clash of might and magic raged on, the fate of Asgard, the legacy of Thor, and the heart of Loki hung in a delicate balance, teetering on the edge of ruin as the storm of destiny swirled ominously on the horizon. Hash Part 2, The Storm of Deceit. As the first light of dawn pierced the icy veil of Jotunheim, the landscape pulsated with energy, the ground trembled beneath the clash of titans. Thor, the god of thunder, fought valiantly, each swing of Mjolnir igniting the air with electric fervor. The frost giants roared, their voices like thunder rolling across the mountains, a cacophony of rage that rivaled the storm in Thor's heart. "Steel yourselves!" Thor bellowed, rallying his warriors through the clamor. "For every giant that falls, we reclaim a piece of our honor." Beside him, Sif carved the path through the brutish horde, her sword glinting with the fierce light of 1,000 stars. "Your fury guides us. Thor, let us show them the might of Asgard." Her battle cry pierced the air, invigorating the weary hearts of their comrades. Yet even as the battle raged, uncertainty gnawed at Loki, who lurked in the shadows, his heart heavy with the weight of his treachery. His pact with Loki loomed over him like an ominous cloud. Frost giants had granted him strength, but their promises echoed hollow in the grim reality of war. "Now, Loki's icy voice slittered through the air, breaking his reverie. "Unleash the chaos, show the Aesir the price of betrayal." With a deep breath, Loki took a step back from the tumultuous battlefield. The clang of steel and the roars of battle faded into the background as he wrestled with his conscience. He was torn between the loyalty to his brother, Thor, and the intoxicating allure of power promised by the frost giants. "Fate rests in your hands," Loki growled, his patience waning. "You wish to be more than a mere shadow, then act like one." Drawing upon the dark magic that coursed through his veins, Loki summoned the tempest within him, weaving a spell that could turn the tide of the battle. His voice rose a haunting melody infused with ancient energy. "By the shadows of my forebears, I call upon the frost to bind the hearts of those unworthy." As the words escaped his lips, a bitter wind surged from his fingertips, coiling through the air like a serpentine curse. The very ground shook, and the frost giants, sensing the shift, roared in frenzy, ready to seize the advantage. "Look!" Sif shouted, her sharp eyes catching the dark mist swelling ominously over the battlefield. "The treachery of Loki unfolds." "Fool!" Thor howled, eyes widening with realization. "This madness will consume all." He held Mjolnir toward Loki, but the weight of treachery stilled the air, holding the hammer in its path. "Brother!" Loki's voice wavered, torn between defiance and regret. "You must understand it." "Understand what?" Thor thundered, rage igniting the storm within. "That betrayal lurks in your heart, that you would sacrifice us all for power." Suddenly, Loki unleashed a chilling roar, directing the frost giants to charge. Seize them, conquer the Aesir! A wave of icy giants surged forward, their monstrous forms blotting out the sun, their breath a frozen tempest. Thor, eyes ablaze with anger and sorrow, turned Mjolnir around, beckoning the storm. Stand with me, warriors of Asgard, we shall not fall. An epic clash erupted anew. Thor's hammer descended like a bolt of lightning, cleaving through the ranks of giants, while Sif, ever fierce, fought alongside him. Each strike of her blade carried the weight of countless ancestors as she carved her legacy upon the frozen soil. Yet with each frost giant felled, Loki felt the chains of his decision tightening around him. Guilt gnawed at him as he witnessed the devastation wrought by his own hands. He had long sought glory, but the price of his ambition weighed heavy. In the chaos, he glimpsed the faces of his comrades, their eyes filled with trust, now marred by the shadows of betrayal. "Forgive me," he whispered, tears mingling with the snow as he took a step back, away from the storm he had summoned. "Brother, fight!" Thor's voice pierced through the din. Mjolnir crackled with energy, lighting the battlefield with incandescent fury. Thor's eyes searched for Loki amidst the fray, desperate to pull him back from the brink. But as Loki's magic encircled the battlefield, an unnatural frost spread like a disease, freezing the souls of the weary Aesir warriors. Feel the chill of despair, Loki taunted, his voice cold and mocking. "Your brother has betrayed you." Sif's sword sliced through the air, deflecting the icy tendrils, but even she felt the creeping dread. "We must break the spell, Thor!" rallied the others. With a fierce roar, Thor raised Mjolnir high, summoning the storm. "We are Aesir, we will not be bound. Here, in the heart of this battle, we stand united." His words ignited a spark within the hearts of the warriors. One by one, they rallied behind Thor, their resolve bolstered by the indomitable spirit of Asgard. "For honor, for Asgard," they cried, striking back against the frozen tendrils of despair. But Loki, still caught in the web of his choices, felt the tempest within him waver. The frost giants were relentless, and as they charged, he saw his brother face the monstrous Loki. The clash of titans echoed through the air, each blow reverberating like thunder. "Face me, Loki," Thor bellowed, his voice a challenge that resonated through the frozen wasteland. "Your journey ends today." The frost giant king grinned, his icy breath hissing as he prepared to unleash his power. "You think your thunder can stand against my frost? Ye shall fall like the leaves in winter." In that moment, something within Loki snapped. The sight of his brother fighting valiantly, the hope shimmering in the eyes of their comrades, ignited a fire within him. "No," he shouted, and the ground shook beneath his feet. Loki's voice roared, cutting through the storm. "I choose my own destiny. I am no pawn." He stepped forward, the magic swirling around him, coiling tighter as he faced Loki. "I will not let you destroy what I hold dear." With a flick of his wrist, he redirected the dark magic away from his brothers and towards Loki, unleashing a torrent of energy that spiraled into a vortex of light and frost. The air crackled as the two powers clashed, a tempest of chaos erupting in the heart of Jotunheim. "Fool!" Loki roared, but it was too late. Loki's magic surged, intertwining with the storm, creating a blinding flash that engulfed the battlefield. The frost giants stumbled, the icy grip of their power faltering as sunlight broke through the chaos. The Aesir warriors, feeling the shift, poured their strength into the fight. "Onward!" Thor roared, and with Mjolnir alight with divine fury, he hurled it at Loki, the hammer gleaming like the sun breaking through a storm. The collision was cataclysmic. Loki, caught off guard by Loki's betrayal, was struck down, the power of Asgard merging with the winds of fate. The Frost King staggered, and the ground quaked beneath the weight of his defeat. "Together!" Loki shouted, finally united with his brother, casting aside the shadows of deceit. As the Aesir warriors surged forward, emboldened by their gods, the darkness that had threatened to consume them began to recede. In a final, thunderous roar, Thor and Loki stood side by side, channeling their combined power. The storms converged, a whirlwind of lightning and frost, and as Mjolnir struck true, the frost giants scattered like leaves before a tempest, their reign of terror shattered. Through the chaos, Loki turned to Thor, his heart heavy but resolute. "Forgive me, brother. I lost my way, but I have found it again." With a softening gaze, Thor nodded. "We all walk the line of darkness, brother. Your battle is not just mine, it is our legacy forged through honor and sacrifice." The dust began to settle, and as the last remnants of the frost giants faded, the warriors of Asgard raised their swords in triumphant unison. The sun peeked through the clouds, illuminating the battlefield and the brave souls who stood together. Yet, as the echoes of the battle faded, the shadows whispered of consequences. Loki had to fight fate, but the path of redemption was fraught with peril. Struggles awaited, and destiny would always demand a price. Together, they stood amidst the aftermath of chaos, the storm having passed, but the lingering echoes of treachery still haunting the air. The bond between brothers would endure, tempered by the trials they had faced, but the seeds of doubt would forever linger in the hearts of gods and men alike. As the warriors of Asgard celebrated their hard-won victory, the threads of fate tightened around Loki and Thor, weaving a future that promised both glory. # Part 3 The Reckoning of Shadows. As the sun rose over the battlefield, its golden rays illuminated the remnants of chaos, a stark contrast to the desolation surrounding them. The icy expanse of Jotunheim, once vibrant with the clash of titans and the roar of battle, now lay silent. The bodies of fallen frost giants sprawled across the ground, while the warriors of Asgard stood, bloodied but unbroken, their eyes reflecting a mixture of triumph and sorrow. Thor, the god of thunder, surveyed the remnants of the fight, his heart heavy with the weight of his brother's treachery. The scars of battle etched upon his skin throbbed with every pulse of his heart. "We have won," he said, but his voice was tinged with uncertainty. He turned to Loki, who stood at his side, a spectre of regret amidst the celebrations. "But at what cost?" Loki's eyes flickered with an inner tempest. "I sought power, Thor. In my ambition, I almost lost everything." The warmth of the sun felt distant, his blood was still thick with the icy chill of betrayal. "I feared becoming a shadow, and yet I nearly cast you into the abyss." Sif approached, her sword still glinting with the remnants of battle, her fiery spirit ended. "You fought alongside us when it mattered most, Loki, but trust is a fragile thing, and it will take time to mend what has been broken." Her gaze was fierce, yet understanding, a reflection of the strength that had bound them in brotherhood. Loki bowed his head, feeling the weight of her words. "Honor is earned in battle, yet betrayal lingers like an unquenchable frost. I must prove myself worthy once more. Then let us return to Asgard and forge a new path," Thor replied, his voice resonating with a mix of hope and challenge. "But know this, brother, every choice you make will echo through eternity. Do not let ambition blind you again." As they traversed the treacherous paths back to the shimmering Bifrost, the air crackled with tension. The warriors chattered, celebrating their victory, yet beneath the surface, a current of doubt swelled, a reminder of the shadows that had threatened to consume them. Upon reaching the gilded halls of Asgard, the heroes were met with cheers, the sound reverberating like music through the marble architecture. Yet the joy felt hollow to Loki, each sheer reminder of the darkness he had invited into their realm. As they entered Valhalla, the great hall of the slain, the atmosphere shifted, and the heavy weight of the past threatened to drown him. Odin, the All-Father, sat upon his throne, his one eye piercing through the revelry with a gaze that could pierce the very fabric of fate. "You have returned from a great battle," he said, his voice a resonant echo. "But you carry with you the shadows of betrayal. Loki, you have walked a treacherous path." "I know," Loki replied, his voice steady but laced with sorrow. "I sought power, and in my quest, I nearly lost everything. I stand before you, ready to accept the consequences of my actions." Odin's gaze did not waver, the weight of ancient wisdom heavy upon his brow. "Power has its price, Loki. To wield it recklessly is to invite ruin, but the bonds of brotherhood are not easily severed. What will you do to reclaim that which you have lost?" "I will prove my worth," Loki said, determination igniting within him. "I will embark on a quest to the realm of the Vanir, realms deep in magic. I must retrieve the lost artifact of Aesir Gungnir, the spear of Odin, before it falls into the hands of those who would misuse its power." Thor stepped forward, the warmth of kinship shining in his eyes. "Then I shall accompany you, brother. You will not walk this path alone. Together we will face whatever shadows await, and you will earn your place among us once more." The hall erupted in cheers once more, but Loki's heart remained heavy as the weight of his choice settled upon him. He turned to Sif, her fiery spirit a beacon of strength in his storm. "Will you join us?" "I will stand with you," Sif replied, her voice fierce with conviction. "For honor, for Asgard, and for the bond we share." And so, the trio prepared for their journey, gathering provisions and steeling their hearts for the trials to come. As they cast their eyes upon the shimmering Bifrost once more, Loki felt the tendrils of doubt begin to recede, replaced by a flicker of hope, a chance to rewrite his destiny. ##* the crossing to Vanheim ***. Stepping onto the Bifrost, a world around them twisted in a kaleidoscope of colors, blues and greens swirling like the heart of a tempest. The journey to the realm of the Vanir was unlike any they had faced before. Each heartbeat resonated with the pulse of magic, and Loki felt the weight of his past pressing against his chest. As the Bifrost shimmered and the landscape transformed, they found themselves standing upon the soil of Vanheim, a land rich with verdant forests and flowing rivers. The air was thick with the scent of blossoms, but beneath it lay an undertow of tension. The Vanir were wise but wary, their magic a double-edged sword. "I can sense the magic here," Loki murmured, his senses heightened. "We must tread carefully. They will not take kindly to outsiders, especially those bearing the scars of betrayal." Sif drew her sword, its blade glinting in the dappled sunlight. "Then let us approach with honor and respect. We seek an audience with your kind, not a fight." As they ventured deeper into the heart of Vanheim, the trees whispered secrets, their leaves rustling like laughter. They soon came upon a glade bathed in golden light, where the Vanir gathered, their forms ethereal and majestic. At the center stood Njord, the god of the sea and winds, his presence commanding respect. "Who dares trespass upon our sacred land?" Njord's voice boomed like thunder, strong and unyielding. "Speak your purpose, Aesir, before my patience wanes." Thor stepped forward, his stature unwavering. "We have come not as enemies, but as allies. We seek Gungnir, the spear of Odin, which has been lost to darkness. We wish to retrieve it and mend the rift between our realms." Njord's gaze shifted to Loki, lingering with scrutiny. "And what of you, Loki, you who have danced with treachery and sought power for your own gain?" Loki swallowed hard, feeling the weight of judgment upon him. "I stand here to atone for my actions, to prove that I am more than the shadows of my past. I wish to reclaim my honor and restore balance." "Words are but wind, Loki. Show us your resolve," Njord replied, his tone unyielding. "The artifact you seek is guarded by the ancient spirits of this land. To retrieve it, you must prove yourselves worthy through trials of strength, wisdom, and honor." "Name your trials, and we shall face them," Thor declared, his eyes blazing with determination. "We will not falter." With a nod, Njord summoned forth the spirits of Vanheim, ethereal figures rising from the earth, their forms shimmering with magic. "First, you will face the trial of strength, a contest against the mightiest of the Vanir. Then, the trial of wisdom, where your mind shall be tested against enigmas of ancient lore. Finally, the trial of honor, where you must confront your past and prove your allegiance to each other." As the spirits faded and the sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows, Loki felt the weight of the trials bearing down upon him. There was no turning back now. Hash asterisk, the trial of strength asterisk. The arena was a circle of ancient stone surrounded by the whispering trees of Vanheim. As they entered, air crackled with anticipation, and the spirits materialized, their eyes gleaming with the echoes of ages past. "Prepare yourselves," Njord intoned, his voice echoing like thunder. "You will face the might of our champion, a creature forged from the very elements of Vanheim, the Earthbreaker." From the shadows, a monstrous figure emerged, its form a blend of stone and vine, eyes glowing like molten gold. The Earthbreaker roared, a sound that shook the ground beneath their feet. "Thor, you will lead this fight," Loki said, his heart pounding as he prepared himself for what was to come. "Your strength is unmatched." With a fierce battle cry, Thor charged forward, Njord crackling with thunderous energy. The Earthbreaker met him head-on, and the clash echoed through the glade like the roar of a storm. Stone and steel collided, sending shockwaves that rippled through the air. "Now, brother!" Sif shouted, her sword gleaming as she joined the fray, flanking the beast. Together, they fought with a rhythm that spoke of unity, every strike a testament to their enduring bond. Loki stood back, feeling the tempest in his heart swirl. He watched Thor and Sif, their movements fluid and precise, but doubt began to creep in. Could he truly redeem himself? The Earthbreaker. Part 4, The Trials of Asgard. The Earthbreaker roared, its voice a deep rumble that shook the very roots of the ancient trees surrounding the arena. Stone and vine coiled around its massive limbs, glistening in the dappled sunlight as it towered above Thor, a monstrous embodiment of the very land itself. The arena crackled with tension. The spirits of Vanheim watched with eyes that shimmered like stars, their silent judgment heavy upon the three Aesir. "Loki?" Thor's voice rang out amidst the chaos of battle. "Support me. Use your cunning." Loki's heart raced, a tempest of conflicting emotions swirling within him. He had come to reclaim his honor, yet the shadows of his past loomed like the darkened clouds of an impending storm. There was no turning back. With a determined breath, Loki conjured the magic coursing through him, weaving a spell that would blend with the very nature of Vanheim. "Earthbreaker," he called, his voice ringing with authority. "You are of this land. Feel the pulse of its magic." The Titan halted, momentarily distracted by Loki's words. Thor seized the opportunity, charging forward with Mjolnir aloft, a beacon of lightning. The hammer struck the Earthbreaker like a comet, sending shards of stone flying in all directions. A roar of fury erupted from the creature, and it retaliated, swinging its massive arm toward Thor, who barely ducked in time. "Steady, brother!" Sif shouted as she lunged forward, her blade glinting like the sun. "Strike from the flanks, we must outmaneuver it." 3 of them moved as one, a tightly woven tapestry of strength and resolve. Loki, filled with a renewed sense of purpose, began to channel his magic, summoning vines from the earth to entangle the Earthbreaker's legs. They coiled like serpents, slowing the creature's movements. "Feel the essence of venom," Loki shouted, his voice full of conviction. The vines tightened around the Earthbreaker's limbs, and for a moment it staggered, glancing down in confusion. "Now, Thor!" Loki called, urgency in his tone. Thor seized the moment, his body glowing with the power of the storm. He swung Mjolnir with all his might, the hammer connecting with the Earthbreaker's side in a deafening clash that reverberated through the air. Lightning exploded from Mjolnir, illuminating the arena in a blinding flash. The Earthbreaker let out a thunderous roar, staggering back, but it would not be subdued so easily. With a furious cry, it launched itself at Thor, its massive hands reaching out to crush him. "Get out of the way!" Sif shouted, her voice piercing through the chaos. Loki's heart raced. "We can let it breathe." He cast his hand forward, and from the ground erupted a wave of earth and stone, forming a barrier between Thor and the monstrous giant. "Together!" Thor bellowed, and with a mighty heave, he hurled Mjolnir once more, striking the Earthbreaker directly in its chest. A brilliant flash of light exploded, sending cracks splintering through the arena floor. But the Earthbreaker was not defeated. It roared in defiance, shaking off the vines that had once bound it. With a swift motion, it turned its fury upon Loki, its molten golden eyes boring into him. The ground trembled as it advanced, each step shaking the very core of Vanheim. "Loki?" Sif cried, panic lacing her voice. "We need to regroup." "Not yet," Loki shouted back, determination igniting in his chest. "I will not let my past dictate my future." He focused with all his might, channeling the raw essence of Vanheim through the ground. His hands glowed with vibrant energy as he pulled the magic of the land into himself. "Earthbreaker, guardian of Vanheim, feel the weight of your power," he declared, and in that moment, the ground trembled beneath him, responding to his command. The Earthbreaker faltered, its eyes narrowing in confusion, momentarily caught in the spell. "The spirits of the land are with us," Loki roared, shaping the magic into tendrils of pure energy that shot forth, intertwining with the giant. Thor and Sif seized the moment. "Now!" they shouted in unison, launching themselves at the Earthbreaker with all their might. With a final, thunderous blow, Thor struck the beast's heart, and Sif followed through, plunging her sword deep into its side. As the Earthbreaker let out its final roar, a brilliant explosion of light and nature erupted from the creature, showering the arena with a cascade of petals and shimmering leaves. The Earthbreaker collapsed, its form shattering into a cascade of earth and magic that settled back into the ground, the spirits of the land rejoicing in their victory. The arena fell silent, and the spirits turned their gaze upon the 3 Aesir, their eyes reflecting admiration. "You have shown strength," Njord's voice echoed, resonating through the glade. "But the trials are not yet over. Prepare yourselves for the trial of wisdom." As the spirits faded and the glade grew serene, the 3 stood panting, their hearts racing. "Loki, you harnessed the magic of Vanheim," Sif said, her voice filled with both awe and suspicion. "But will you wield it wisely?" "I will," Loki replied, determination rekindling in his chest. "I will prove myself worthy." Hash, the trial of wisdom. The glade shifted, the trees swaying as if alive, as the arena morphed into a vast expanse of swirling mist and shimmering light. As the fog began to lift, 3 ancient thrones appeared, a trio of magnificent seats crafted from the very essence of nature, adorned with symbols of wisdom, courage, and fate. "Welcome to the trial of wisdom," Njord's voice boomed, resonating through the ethereal space. "To succeed, you must answer the riddles of the ancients, or be forever lost in the mists of time." "Riddles?" Thor grinned, crossing his arms. "I fear no riddle, we are children of Asgard." "Perhaps, but riddles can twist the mind," Loki warned, his gaze searching the mists. "Be wary." At that moment, a figure emerged from the swirling fog, being ethereal and ancient, its voice like a gentle breeze. "I am the keeper of wisdom, and I guard the answers you seek. Answer my questions truthfully, and you shall learn your passage, fail, and suffer the consequences." "Ask your riddles," Thor declared, his voice steady and strong. The keeper nodded, unfurling a hand that glowed with an ethereal light. "First riddle, I speak without a mouth and hear without ears. I have no body, but I come alive with the wind. What am I?" Thor furrowed his brow. "A spirit," he suggested, but the keeper shook his head. Loki, feeling the weight of the moment, stepped forward. An echo. The answer is an echo. The keeper's form shimmered, giving a nod of approval. Correct, you may proceed to the next riddle. What has roots as nobody sees, is taller than trees, up it goes, and yet never grows. Save brow furrowed as she contemplated the riddle. A mountain, she ventured, but the keeper's expression remained unchanged. The answer lies deeper, Loki urged, his heart racing. It is a mountain, yes, but it is more than that. It represents ambition, dreams, a mountain of aspiration. The keeper gazed at Loki, a glimmer of recognition in their ancient eyes. You speak wisely, correct, but this last riddle will test the very fabric of your bond. Answer it well, or face the consequences. Here it is. The more of this there is, the less you see. What is it? The darkness, Thor said immediately. Darkness, Sif echoed, and Loki's heart sank at this certainty. But then Loki felt the storm within him swirl again, a realization dawning. No, he said softly, his voice trembling. The answer is ignorance. The more you embrace ignorance, the less you see of the truth. The keeper nodded, a faint smile gracing their lips. Wisdom shines brighter than knowledge. You have answered correctly. Remember this lesson, for your paths ahead will be treacherous. As the mist began to fade, Loki felt an overwhelming sense of relief wash over him. The trial of wisdom had been a test of their unity, and yet he had also faced his own shadows. Hash, the trial of honor. The glade transformed once more, this time into a vast expanse of shimmering water that reflected the stars above a celestial lake, serene and brilliant. Welcome to the trial of honor, Android's voice echoed, resonating like ripples across the water. In this trial, you shall confront your past and prove your allegiance to one another. Your choices will shape your destinies. Thor stepped forward, his heart steady. We are ready. The lake shimmered, and figures emerged from the water, visions of their pasts, the shadows woven into their stories.